Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, Pamela Smart asks Governor to commute life sentence. Smart serving sentence of life without parole for being accomplice in husband's death. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9.
Do you need a new roof but think you can't afford it? Our average customer pays $7,500 for a total roof replacement, and we have finance plans with payment options under $150 per month. Call today. Century Roofing, we've got you covered.
And we do have breaking news tonight at 6 o'clock. Pamela Smart is petitioning the governor and executive council to commute her life sentence to give her a chance at parole. Good evening, I'm Tom Griffith.
And I'm Jennifer Vaughn. News 9 has exclusive access to the legal documents just submitted, including a letter from Pam Smart to Governor Chris Sununu.
WMUR's Gene Mackin joins us live for a first look at that petition, Gene.
And here are all of the documents. Pam Smart has exhausted all other legal options. Now she and her legal team say a lot has changed since she was sent to prison for her role in the murder of her husband, including everyone else involved being released. The 695-page petition for commutation of Pam Smart's sentence starts with a letter to Governor Chris Sununu signed by Pamela Smart. She writes, "Dear Governor Sununu, I am writing to humbly request your mercy and compassion. Without executive intervention, I will die in prison." She is not looking for a pardon.
Not looking for a pardon, not looking to be declared innocent.
Pam Smart's attorney, Robert Jusium, says the governor and executive council are not being asked to change the verdict but the sentence, so she has a chance to go before a parole board. She is serving life without the possibility of parole in a New York State prison, the mandatory sentence when found guilty of accomplice to murder 28 years ago.
She is charged and convicted of being an accomplice, and she's in for life. To put it another way, she's sentenced to die in prison.
In the letter to the governor, she says, "When I was 22 years old, I made the worst mistake of my life," telling the governor what she told us in 2 prison interviews, that her mistake was becoming romantically involved with Bill Flynn. She writes, "I never wanted nor asked Mr. Flynn to murder Greg." On the stand, Billy Flynn told the court he was responsible for shooting Pam Smart's husband inside their Derry condo in 1990.
I pulled the trigger.
He was a 16-year-old student. She was the director of media services in the school district. All 14 boys convicted for their roles have been released. Billy Flynn in 2015 after serving 25 years. In her letter to the governor, Pam Smart writes, "The 2 people who forced Greg to his knees when I was not there and stood over him as he was shot are now both free on parole, as are others who played a role." Her legal team calls her sentence grossly disproportionate and says jurors cried after learning the sentence was mandatory life without parole. The filing lists thousands of petition signatures, hundreds of letters of support. Pam Smart tells the governor, "I am praying that you withhold judgment until you and the executive counselors read my pleas, and that mercy, compassion, and fairness will guide your decision." The legal team is asking the governor and executive council to consider this request, even though an 88-page response to the Attorney General's office has previously recommended against a sentence reduction, tonight saying it stands by that response. The governor just told News 9 he will follow the same process as they would for anybody filing for commutation. On News 9 tonight, you'll see more of the letter from Pam Smart to the governor and the high-profile people also writing in support. Live in studio, Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. All Vine students create design for White House egg roll. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
This is not your kid's sandbox. This is the place that brings your backyard dreams to life.
Look at the list.
You can feel the excitement in Deborah Rapson's digital media class at Alvern High School in Hudson. One of these designs put together by a student is going to be on display at the White House Easter egg roll later this month.
Well, I like designing things and coming up with those concepts, so I definitely think it was fun to be able to design something for something so prestigious.
They started with 29 entries. Those have been narrowed down to 6 finalists through student voting. One lucky winning design gets a trip to Washington, where it will be displayed on the Jumbotron at the annual event. The rules were pretty open-ended. You had to use something that represented New Hampshire, but you could only use 5 colors.
The main part of my design is to incorporate how New Hampshire is the first in the nation, so I decided to incorporate the number 1 in the middle of the egg.
I know that New Hampshire and all of New England mainly is a skiing area, so I incorporated the mountains over here and then the ski on top of it. I wanted to incorporate foliage, because foliage, people know in New Hampshire, in the fall, people come up from all over the country to see the foliage, so I wanted to really focus on that.
They only had 3 weeks to put the designs together. Not much time, according to Rapson, who said they all did extremely well.
They step up to the level that you give them. If you say do this, they do it. If you say do this, they try to beat that bar.
Hard work and creativity is what the project demanded, and it's exactly what these kids did. In Hudson, Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
And this. That's the look at the winning design that will be shown on the Jumbotron at the White House. Caroline Breen is the winning designer. Congrats to you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Very cool indeed. Organ recipients urged more Granite Staters to become donors. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cherry.
Right now at Ippolito's during our spring sale, you'll receive a double discount equal to twice the math.
I can't tell you the difference it's made in my life.
Glenn Wiley understands the big difference a little checked box can make.
I received my gift of life November 14th, 2015.
That's when Wiley underwent a liver transplant. He was one of a handful of donor recipients gathered at the State House who credit the DMV's role in organ donation registration.
The amount of people that register to be organ donors at the DMV is the vast majority of people that are registered to be organ donors.
According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, 94% of donors register at DMVs.
In realizing that putting that heart on your license means that if you no longer need that organ, someone else's lives can be saved.
But fewer than 2% of registered donors are actually in position to save a life.
Last year, there were 393 organ donors in the 6 states of New England, providing a little over 1,100 organ transplants.
One donor can save up to 8 people. Chris Santamaria has received 4 separate donations alone.
The gift of life is so amazing. I mean, it's such a selfless act to do, and it's so simple.
Now his wife, who works at the DMV, relays that message to anyone who comes in to renew their driver's license.
I say to them, my husband's a living recipient, and people like him are grateful for people who say yes.
And the governor signed a proclamation today recognizing April as Organ Donation Month. And this Friday, you can help the cause. The Concord DMV is holding an organ donor registry from 8 until 11 in the morning.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Northfield home burglary caught on surveillance video, police say. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
Kim Robichaux and her husband unnerved. Video from their home security system showing someone getting inside their Northfield home not once but twice overnight.
To think that someone broke in, one with our doors locked, it leaves a real pit in your stomach.
At 2 a.m., the suspect gains entry through a family room door, stopped from going further by a hook on the other side of an interior door.
The suspect actually left their house and went over the hill, breaking into other houses here, including that neighbor's, where he stole money out of a wallet inside the kitchen. Then he came back and tried to break in here through another door.
At 4:30 a.m., the suspect is on their sun porch, trying to get into the locked door that leads to the kitchen, just feet from their bedroom.
He did take off a glove and pull something out of his pocket, whether it was a credit card or some sort of a device trying to get into this door. You can see, him putting stress on the door, and then that's when the dog barked.
The bark waking them up and scaring the intruder away.
If he had gotten into the main part of the house, if we didn't have the dog that alerted us, I don't know what would have happened.
Police say the suspect is about 5'6", is wearing a dark hoodie with sneakers and black laces, jeans with black X's on the back pocket, and an Under Armour backpack. They're investigating at least 2 home and 4 vehicle break-ins overnight, money taken, but fortunately no encounters.
This is our hero of the day that alerted Mommy and Daddy to someone being in the sun porch. Huh, sweet girl?
In Northfield, yes. Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Ben had the heart of a guardian. Thousands pay tribute to fallen detective. Let's take a listen to that video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
Do you need to replace your roof this year? Call Century Roofing today to arrange a free estimate. Call now to take advantage of our spring special and get $500 off your total roof replacement. Century Roofing, we've got you covered.
Landlord 1282. Landlord 1282. Landlord 1282. Detective Benjamin Campbell.
Okay, and that was some coverage and video footage taken during the ceremony today. Law enforcement across the country paid tribute Tuesday to fallen Maine State Police Detective Ben Campbell. 3,000 mourners celebrated his life at Cross Insurance Arena in Portland. Campbell, 31, was killed Wednesday when he was struck by a wheel that fell off a tractor-trailer after he got out of his cruiser to help a driver who spun out in snowy conditions on I-95 in Hampden. Campbell was remembered Tuesday for his friendly smile in service to others. Coate held back tears as he remembered Campbell. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Tuesday evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for your Tuesday evening. Dow falls a second day, loses 190 points, with investors nervous about earnings. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell for the second straight day Tuesday as investors awaited the start of corporate earnings season later this week. Attorney General Barr tepidly backs DOJ's position to no longer defund Obamacare. Two weeks after the Justice Department revised itself and agreed with efforts to kill the Affordable Care Act, Attorney General Bill Barr on Tuesday seemed to express skepticism that the Trump administration's latest position can withstand legal scrutiny from the Supreme Court. And that did it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night, everyone. Bye.